Aaron, tell me a riddle.
What?
I'm bored. Tell me a riddle, please.
Okay, I got one for you. You're in a room with no windows and no doors.
How did I get in that room, huh?
It doesn't actually matter, Zach.
It's a trick riddle. You're not actually in the room because there's no windows and doors.
No, you're in the room.
Oh, no, wait. 42.
That is the answer to everything.
Yep. I'm good at riddles.
Except this riddle, which I haven't asked you. Can I ask you that now?
Fine. Okay. Hit me.
All right. You're in a room with no windows and no doors. The only items in the room with you are a mirror and a table. How do you get out of the room?
Okay. I bust the legs off the table, and then I shatter the window.
Mirror.
And then I fasten some shards of glass to the leg, and I create a makeshift saw. And then I saw myself out of the room.
No, that's not it.
Fine. How do you get out of the stupid room?
Okay. You look in the mirror. You see what you saw. You take the saw. You cut the table in half. 2 halves make a hole. You climb out through the hole. It's that easy.
Oh, come on. That is the dumbest thing in, like, so many multiverses. Seriously, lame-ass wordplay. God, who made that stupid riddle?
I have no idea.
Well, they're dumb, and you're dumb for saying it.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you'd be so upset about not getting the answer to a riddle right.
Okay, tell me another one.
Seriously? We have a whole show to do.
Oh, I've been meaning to tell you about that. This is a great show. An actual religion has opened up over a video game.
Wait, what? What video game created a religion?
Oh, you want to know which one, huh? Allow me to answer your question with a riddle.
Okay.
If you're trapped in a room with no doors, no windows, and a co-host who's annoyed at your dumb riddle, how long will it take him to tell you? Find out by watching RAMtv.
In today's world, anything can happen. A beautiful, amazing woman saying yes to marrying me, a reality TV star becoming president, America voting for a reality TV star to become president, and even things from the geekdom being recognized as religions. For example, the military recognizes Jedi as a religion. Now, I'm not sure how one tries to practice that.
Do or do not. There is no try.
That's right. That's the answer. But this new religion, well, I'll let Zach explain.
So, every one of us has an unhealthy obsession with at least one video game. Mine is Heroes of the Storm, and I've had several others before it. But how far is too far? Some of us play games religiously, but do we actually mean we want it to be a religion? Well, some of us do, apparently, since you can now join the official Church of Hanzo. Granted, you need to live in South America, because its roots are in Brazil. Started by Matthias Magnan, the Church of Hanzo includes the following ground rules. Preach peace and harmony on the internet and in online communities. A free Tuesday per month off for religious activities, in this case, playing Overwatch. Consumption of high-calorie foods, which makes this my favorite rule. No hate speech or toxic behavior on stream, which are considered grave sins against the faith.
Because the fucking Hanzos ain't gonna do shit. Hanzos aren't as powerful as Mercy or anybody else.
Also, stating the term Hanzo main and rage-quitting Overwatch matches are sins, effectively cutting off half the community from joining, in my opinion. And finally, to be baptized and initiated into the church, you must complete at least one game of Overwatch. Though, and I'm not making this up, if you do not own Overwatch and cannot afford it, a game of Paladins will suffice. I've had a lot of fun teasing this one to the guys this week, but like most things I love, it's a little too good/funny to be true. Magnan didn't actually start the faiths solely because he had a feverish lust for the game and he felt it deserved places next to Buddhism, Hinduism, and such. In no small part, he wanted to expose how lax the religious registration rules are in Brazil. Brazil offers extremely generous tax exemptions to religious bodies. They are exempt from property taxes, income taxes, car taxes, or taxes on goods and services, as long as they're linked to a religious belief. It's also absurdly easy to start a religion, requiring only an address, 5 witnesses, a lawyer's signature, a written statute, and paid fees. In other words, it takes the same effort to start a religion in Brazil as it does to create a guild in World of Warcraft. I'm pretty sure this one will end here, but knowing just how far the world goes for a good joke, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Church of Hanzo actually try to pick up speed internationally. I don't expect it, but it wouldn't surprise me. Not like one of these bullshit headshot deaths! Come on!
Thanks, Zach. Now, while the Church of Hanzo obviously is a joke, let's hope it doesn't actually take off. All we need is a war with the Call of Duty temple. Overwatch, however, isn't just having an effect on religion. It may actually be having an effect on how we view heroes. Let me say this before I begin. This story is a big one, but I feel it's really important. So I will be breaking it into multiple parts. And that being said, I read this story on Wired.com from Andrew McMillan, a freelance writer for Back Channel. Let's jump in. Samuel Hokum and his younger brother love playing Overwatch together. While playing, Samuel noticed himself drawn to playing Symmetra all of the time out of the dozens of characters available to select. While playing, Samuel noticed Symmetra's behavior was odd at times. She misunderstood social cues. She took jokes as literal comments. She wanted structure, and she got overwhelmed with too much stimulation. But it was in this behavior Samuel recognized someone. Himself. In 2016, Samuel was diagnosed with autism, and he started to wonder, because Symmetra seemed so much like him, if she too had autism. Luckily, Samuel was given an English assignment to write a letter to one of his favorite public figures. So he chose Overwatch director Jeff Kaplan. In his letter, Samuel asked Kaplan, quote, "Is Symmetra autistic? As an autistic person, I'd love to know myself," end quote. He didn't expect a response, but a month later, Samuel gets a letter from Kaplan where Kaplan says, quote, "I'm glad you asked about Symmetra. Symmetra is autistic. She is one of our most beloved heroes, and we think she does a great job of representing just how awesome someone with autism can be," end quote. Now let's be honest here. Characters who are different, a different race, different sexual orientation, or even deal with a disability such as autism are rare. In those rare instances, we see them, generally they are the villain, like Wilson Fisk in Daredevil, or there's some sidekick portrayed as being weird, like Raymond Babbitt in Rain Man. And that's even if creators dare tackle the challenge of autism. Most of the time, we don't see different, especially not as a hero. This means when kids build their concept of heroes, they will rarely look to someone with autism. The letter Samuel received confirms the first time in video game history a fully playable character who is a badass and also happens to have autism. Next week, we will talk about the implications mainstreaming people who are different can have on our lives. And the truth of the whole matter is, media can influence our lives. Like how every year, on one special Sunday, we all get super excited, call our friends over, grab some drinks, sit down in front of the TV, and turn on Game of Thrones. Here's a show that has made us all fear winter. Well, Season 7 is here, and Matt has the recap of the past 6 seasons and his speculation on what we can expect in the newest installment of Game of Thrones.
So, with Season 7 of Game of Thrones fast approaching, many people out there, myself included, are both very excited and maybe a little bit curious as to what's going to happen this season. We've seen the trailers released. Obviously, there's some exciting stuff, but how does it all come together? Well, let's speculate a little bit by recapping on the last season of Game of Thrones very, very quickly. And just a forewarning out there for those of you who are not caught up in Game of Thrones at this point, there will be some slight spoilers involved. So, let's go from the end of Season 6. We saw some very major power shifts in Westeros. Everyone's favorite blonde queen, Cersei Lannister, has finally become the queen of Westeros, albeit in name only, as she has no official capacity to the title. How did she get this? By killing off all her rivals/enemies in the Great Sept of Baelor, and basically taking power for herself. This, of course, has had some serious repercussions, one of them being the death of her last son, Tommen, and the last legitimate king, and the other being that it has pretty much ostracized House Lannister from the other houses of Westeros, who have now decided to take up arms against her. So more specifically, House Tyrell and the Dornes have allied against her greatest rival, being the Mother of Dragons, Daenerys Targaryen. Finally, having defeated the slave masters of Slaver's Bay, she now has her sights set on the Iron Throne, and Daenerys is not alone. Despite having the Tyrells and Dorne, she also has her large Khalasar, her army of Unsullied, Tyrion Lannister himself, and 3 grown dragons. She also has the support of both Theon and Yara Greyjoy, who fled from the Iron Islands after their uncle Euron appeared out of nowhere, killed their father, and took the crown of the Iron Islands for himself. He originally planned to ally with Daenerys against the Lords of Westeros, but now that his nephew and niece have beaten him to the punch, that leaves him kind of out there a little bit. But of course, Daenerys is not alone in the Iron Throne. There may be someone out there with a more legitimate claim. Everyone's favorite bastard, Jon Snow, who originally thought to be the bastard of Ned Stark, has actually turned out to be the product of Ned's sister Lyanna and Daenerys' brother Rhaegar, making him maybe even a little more legitimate claim to Daenerys. However, Jon Snow's rather busy at the moment, as after having won a large victory against House Bolton with help of the Wildlings, the Northmen, and the Knights of the Vale, has now proclaimed the new King of the North, and is intending to lead the Northmen against the White Walkers, because after all, winter is finally here. Meanwhile, Arya has completed her training to face this man and begun her quest for vengeance, first by killing Lord Walder Frey. Bran has completed his training at the hands of the Three-Eyed Raven, and now has his power. And of course, everyone's favorite hound, Sandor Clegane, has joined the Brotherhood Without Banners, as marching north to fight the Hopkins. Hopefully you were able to keep up there. So where does that leave us? Well, combined with what we've seen in the trailer, I think we can safely assume that some very large-scale battles are going to take place between Lannisters and Daenerys' faction. Jon Snow is obviously going to lead his forces against the White Walkers as best he can, hopefully with the assistance of his brother Bran, who hopefully his training will pay off in the end there. Arya will probably continue her quest for vengeance, though how she will do that remains to be seen. And of course, we have a few other factions out there. Euron Greyjoy is still out there as the King of the Iron Islands. What he plans to do and who he will ally with remains to be seen, but that leaves him as a very giant wild card out on the playing field. And of course, there's the Red Priestess herself, Melisandre, who was exiled at the end of Season 6 by Jon Snow. What she will do and how she will help against the coming night, again, remains to be seen, but granted, she's not out of this yet. Well, and of course we have Littlefinger himself, vying for the Iron Throne and hoping to have Sansa on his side. There's been kind of a rift now since Jon Snow, who has a less legitimate claim to House Stark than Sansa, and of course we feel that Littlefinger will probably play off of that in the end for his own game. Where that will lead him and how that will look for Jon and Sansa themselves, again, we'll have to wait and see in Season 7. A lot of speculation there, obviously, built off of what we've seen in the trailers and where the story is so far, but hopefully some of these speculations we'll be able to find out more on and whether they'll come true when Season 7 of Game of Thrones appears and releases this Sunday, July the 16th.
Thanks, Matt. Season 7 is the second to last season of the series. Oh gods, one more year and then we'll all have no clue what to do with our summers. Coming up on RAMtv, Uber is merging, and not just with traffic. And another Fable game coming soon. You're watching RAMtv. Welcome back to RAMtv. Did you miss me? I missed you. Uber may be a recognizable name in the Western world, but Uber faces competition in other markets. A new partnership may change that. Ray has more.
Hi everyone, my name is Ray Balams, and let's get right into your tech news because Uber and a Russian company have announced a new joint company they are pretty much forming, and it's going to be worth around $3 billion. So the Russian company that I'm talking about is Yandex, which is commonly referred to as the Google of Russia, a very well-established brand in that country. And they have a very expansive mapping service database that is helpful to Uber. So now with this new company, with Yandex having the majority stake, they are, going to span 6 countries and around 127 cities. Absolutely huge. Now, these countries include Belarus, Georgia, Russia, and Azerbaijan, just to name a few. And this is interesting because around this time, Uber actually pulled out of China because pretty much they failed to get any significant footprint in China. there's already a Uber of China there in that country, and that name recognition in the US, they couldn't really help in their quest and taking over the Chinese market. Maybe this is like a sign of maybe they want to return to China, but under a partnership with a Chinese company, because they're having a partnership with a Russian company for Russia and surrounding territories. Who knows? But let's get to the second story though, and that is Vertu. The phone maker that is known for luxury devices is shutting down its UK production facility. So if you know about Vertu, or you've heard of the name Vertu, it was used to be owned by the Nokia brand, but now it's owned by a Turkish businessman who is actually in exile and lives in Paris, but that's a whole nother story. And that company is in $128 million in bankruptcy, in debt, and he tried to save the company. That's why he bought it from another holdings company that bought it from Nokia. But it didn't work out, and unfortunately it is shutting down. Now, of course, Vertu is a luxury phone maker. Their phones are made with ostrich leather, sapphires, diamonds, like you name it, luxury. And not really, like, you bought a Vertu phone for the vanity, for the status of it, but it wasn't really actually a good phone. Those phones shipped with outdated versions of Android, and yeah, it just look pretty, and they cost around $30,000 regularly, around $10,000, $20,000. I believe one of them went up to $52,000, $55,000. Yeah, if you have that kind of money for one phone, then you really don't complain about an Android version that is 2 years, 3 years behind, because you have a phone made of ostrich leather and titanium. Yeah, well, the production facilities is shutting down. He did say that he's planning on relaunching the company in around later this year, but he'll announce more information when the time comes. But really, we don't know, because Vertu is just a niche market. Who knows? Maybe this is the end of Vertu. I'm sorry. But that has been your tech news. I'm sorry it's a bit quick one, but those are the two major stories. Get in your net neutrality comments to the FCC. Go fccyourself.com and show your support for net neutrality. I did. I will. Well, yeah, I actually have to submit my comments. Hopefully everybody else at RAMtv has submitted their comments. And I'll see you all in my next Tiny Ram. Bye.
Now, Vertu, Ray has told me, was something he didn't like about the tech industry at times. Exotic materials for subpar performance. But hey, if you want to get Ray a $15,000 phone, he wouldn't say no. But he may say no to this. After 9 games in 13 years, has one of the most iconic Xbox series gone too far? Tanner has the story.
This week, the 9th game in the Fable series was released. After a Kickstarter campaign to raise funds and countless delays, Fable manages to follow in Blizzard's footsteps, who of course copied Magic the Gathering and so on and so forth. Fable Fortune is a card-based multiplayer and single-player that is free to play, although you can purchase card packs and upgrades in the in-game store like they always allow. This game follows some of the more popular characters from the games and allows you to choose a light or a dark side, much like each of the games do, where you can level up your character and unleash their true power. Now, as somebody who's always loved the Fable games, it breaks my heart to see it as a card game. I would have much rather seen another single-player story mode to end the whole story. But let me know what you think. Is this a good ending to the game, or would you have rather seen a whole nother story mode that ends the whole story? Leave your comments below.
Thanks, Tanner. I'm glad to see somebody's Kickstarter campaign for video games becoming a reality. The rest of us, I guess we'll just still wait on Shenmue 3. Whatever. Not salty. Well, that's going to do it for us here in the Geekdom. We appreciate all of your support. We couldn't do this without you. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Please help us out. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. Share us, and please, please, please visit our GoFundMe and Patreon pages. Join us every Sunday for another spin through the Geekdom on RAMtv, and every day for a new Tiny Ram. We'll see you soon. Do you Ram?